Welcome back to The Break, and it's now 11 minutes to 8 o'clock rather, and it's time to talk about what has been going on in schools. We know that today the candidates of KCPE conclude their examination, the national examination. They'll be sitting social studies and religious education. It's a paper that takes about 2 hours, 15 minutes and begins at 8:30. But the bigger conversation we want to have is that as this concludes, the students or the pupils have been in school since January 4th of 2021, but the candidate classes, that is Standard 8, Form 4 and Grade 4, had been in school since October of last year. Peter Ndoro is the Kenya Private School Association Chief Executive Officer. And Peter, I remember speaking to you at the start of the year, and you were very upbeat that you had put in place measures to ensure that there was no spread or unmanageable spread of COVID-19 in the institutions. Right now, several months later, what can you report in as far as the success rate of keeping the COVID-19 pandemic at bay in the institutions?
Thank you very much, Sam, for having me. And I must appreciate the fact that I must begin by saying and thanking God for being good to us. Because since we reopened, we have not reported any case of concern that has affected our schools or learners in general. At the moment, we have not heard of any case of COVID that has necessitated all of us to take action to either close, take children to hospital, and do all manner of things. But all the schools, especially the private schools, we went ahead and put in place measures to ensure that our children are safe. We encourage our learners to ensure that they wash their hands all the time, they mask properly as guided by the Ministry of Health. We ensure that our teachers go ahead and capacity build all the stakeholders within our institution, the teachers, the non-teaching staff, the learners, and the parents, so as to ensure that children are safe in school. So at the moment, we thank God because we've not had any case since we opened in October last year for Grade 4, Class 8, and Form 4, and since we opened for the whole school beginning January this year.
Let me get that right. Are you saying that no case of COVID-19 infection has been reported at private institutions since reopening in October?
What I'm saying is that there is no case of concern that has necessitated some serious actions to be taken because of COVID.
But how would you describe the infection rate or the numbers that have been reported over that period?
You know, when you see or detect that learners are being affected by COVID, we have cases of admission, we have cases of teachers complaining, we have loss of lives. That is what we will consider a case of concern. But for us at the moment, we have not had those serious cases. In fact, as we speak, we've not had any institution so far that has reported that we have serious cases of admission. We have teachers who are not coming to school because they are sick. We've not had cases of non-teaching staff who have complained that they have been affected by COVID to such an extent that it would require a serious action to be taken. So that's why I was saying that we have not had major cases of concern in private schools that have necessitated serious cases of concern.
Okay, all right. But now we know that the COVID-19 situation in the country is on the rise. It's actually of concern because the positivity rate as of yesterday was 22%. This is the highest in the history of the pandemic in the country. We know that more severe cases are being reported. 135 people are currently in ICU. And therefore, there's that concern about even the variant that you're dealing with at the moment. Are you concerned that as your pupils or students proceed to the long holidays, that this may be a burden come the start of the next term?
Sam, I must say that yes, we are concerned with the rising cases of COVID in the country. At 22%, all of us are worried that what is going to happen, and especially at this point in time when our children are now going home. Are parents going to make sure that their children stay safe? This is a case of concern to all of us. But I must add and say that what we need to do as a country is to ensure that we do not drop taking care of our children and ensuring that everybody adheres to the COVID-19 management rules and regulations. Because if we don't do that, then it means we're going to increase the cases of infection. And especially at this point in time when children are all over engaging with everybody at home. But with this, again, I don't foresee a situation where, as education institutions, because last year, when our institutions were closed, they were closed because of just one case of COVID.
Right.
And when we reopened, we had more than 1,000 cases. This time round, we don't foresee a situation where we are going to close our schools because of COVID.
Okay.
This is because when the schools were closed the first time, we did so because this was a new strange disease that had visited our country, and we did not know what to do with it. There was a lot of fear and panic across the country. But now we know what to do. We know what needs to be done. We need to build the capacity of our teachers. We need to ensure that children wash their hands all the time. We need to ensure that they mask all the time. They avoid close contact and things like that. So we know what to do. So in as much as we have rising cases, but I don't want to believe that it will seriously affect the academic calendar when we open. But we want to urge everybody to ensure that all of us are safe. We appreciate the measures that have been taken by the government in as far as extending the issues of curfew and ensuring that all of us adhere to the protocols that have been laid down, ensuring that there are no political gatherings and things like that. If we sustain this as a country, we are going to be safe.
Right. And Peter, obviously, as you talk about the academic calendar that you hope will not be affected further, the terms have gotten shorter because the term that you just concluded was 11 weeks. There's a holiday of 7 weeks. When you come for the third term, it will be about 10 weeks. Then there will be a half-term break of 3 days and a holiday of 1 week, so that thereafter now you can report for the new academic year on 26th of July. How much of an impact has this been, especially on yourselves and the teachers in delivering content to the learners? Same content, but has to be packaged and packed in within a very short time?
Sam, yes, indeed, it is a great concern because the term was shortened. But remember, teachers have been trained to implement the curriculum according to the period that have been given to them. So at the moment, the teachers are going overboard to ensure that the children efficiently and sufficiently cover the entire content within the period that has been given. It has been a big challenge, yes, but at the moment, we are sure that children are able to cover the content that are supposed to have covered during this particular period. The only thing that we would pray is that we are not going to have any interruptions, because should we have interruptions, then we are going to have serious cases of not being able to cover the syllabus as expected. But our teachers are able to ensure that the content is covered within the period that is available to them.
Right, and Peter, what would be your take on the dropping out of learners? Because you were told that when that break was taken, there are several girls and young people that did not return to school, especially in the countryside. But from your side, how would you say this has affected the private schools at a time that parents have been complaining about lost job opportunities, reduced incomes? Did that affect the student or learner population in institutions?
Yes, Sam. Indeed, we've had cases. In fact, in private schools, since we reopened, one of the things that we noted generally within the private school sector is that we had an increase in the student intake across the board. But at the same time, we had a challenge of where students were moving from one institution to another. You find that a school probably that had 400 learners, you'll find that 100 learners moved to another school, but they went ahead and admitted 150 more learners. So the issue of dropping out in private schools is not more pronounced, because there was realignment where parents were probably forced, because of the circumstances, to move their children from probably the city, urban areas to rural areas, from one school to another. But we do not have major cases that were reported about children dropping out of school. But we have incidences where we have been told that a few learners were not able to turn up because they took other responsibilities. Some of them decided to do other things at home. But that is to a very low extent.
And what is your strategy? Because we've seen some institutions, especially international schools, saying that since this third wave has begun, forthwith they'll be doing the online classes only. There'll be no physical attendance in classes. How has been your progress in ensuring that you're preparing for probably a hybrid system, or if circumstances require you to do so, then you have just a pure virtual attendance in classes?
Thank you, Sam. You know, when COVID happened, for us, private schools, and especially the ones with the local curriculum, we were greatly disadvantaged because we had not trained our teachers to teach learners when they are at home. Yeah? And we had not adopted online learning fully. And therefore, it became a big challenge to us. But when we reopened, we decided to do two things. Number one is to look at the issues of health, and number two is about digital transformation at private schools. And what we decided to do on digital transformation is to ensure and provide opportunities for all our schools, all our teachers, all our learners to take advantage of the online platforms for education and learning to proceed uninterrupted, even if the schools are to be closed at any other time because of a strange disease. So what we are doing at the moment is that we are ensuring that children have access to affordable digital content across board.
Okay.
We are trying to ensure that children have appropriate devices. We are building the capacity of our teachers so that this learning does not stop just because learners are not in school.
All right.
So we are trying to do that, despite the fact that we still have challenges that need to be surmounted, but we are focused on ensuring that digital transformation agenda becomes a reality in our country, not just for private schools, but for both private and public schools across the country.
Peter Ndoro, thank you so much for your time. I have to let you go. He is in Mombasa monitoring the ongoing Kenya Certificate of Primary Education examination. It concludes today, and our best wishes to the learners there. Peter Ndoro, thank you so much. Chief Executive Officer, Kenya Private Schools Association. And that's our time here on this discussion. But up next, we have a repeat of a discussion that Wahiga Mora had last night on the third wave sting, what you need to know about the COVID-19 pandemic and the mutations that are being reported, and also the strategies that you have to deploy. But the basic ones remain: wash your hands, wear your mask. And I would say that if you don't, if there's someone who's not wearing a mask, you have no duty or obligation to speak to them unless they're on TV like me. So no mask, no chat. Bye for now. My name is Sam Gituku. See you some other time.